Hello, and thanks for joining us for another episode of MidAmerican Gardener. I'm your host, Tanisha Spain, and this week we are at Meadowbrook in Urbana at one of the area's oldest community gardens, and it's an organic garden as well. So if you're short on space, but you would still like to garden, this is the place to be. So sit back and get some inspo. We're going to meet Connor, the director of the program. He's going to tell us how all of this works, and then we're going to go meet a couple of gardeners who are out here doing the work in real time in their plots. So let's go check it out. And now I'm joined by Connor. So Connor, tell us a little bit about you and how you came to work for the Park District and your connection here to the garden.
All right, so I'm the Environmental Services and Outreach Coordinator for the Anita Purvis Nature Center for the Urbana Park District. I had been part-time for 2.5 years, doing pretty much everything a part-time person could do. And then I was promoted to my position in March of 2020. Is it 2025 already? Yeah, March 2025. So just a little over a year in my position. There's a lot of different things that I do, such as working with our animals at the Nature Center, exhibits, but then also helping manage the gardens program here. And so I help get gardeners registered for the year, and then I have a garden supervisor that helps me out as well.
Awesome, awesome. So let's talk about this space specifically because this is really cool. So this is all sectioned off and it's a community garden, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about what makes this area unique. What makes the garden here at Meadowbrook unique?
Yeah, so it's one of our biggest community gardens that we have in the area. We're lucky in Urbana, we have quite a bit of community gardens around, but this is the largest one that we have around here. It's also one of, if not the oldest. It started in the fall of 1974 is when they broke ground on it, and then started gardening in the spring of 1975. That was with Phyllis Brussel and Heather Young that got the garden started out here. And so we offer over 100 plots that are, I would say, fairly affordable to the community. We also partner with Solidarity Gardens and with the Cunningham Township, and they can provide free plots to gardeners as needed. So it's a really great, really affordable spot out here.
Wonderful. And it's organic out here as well, right?
Yep, absolutely. Keep it as organic as possible, so we don't allow non-organic pesticides, even like plastic tarping. We don't allow that because that can break down, and then you get plastic microfibers in the soil. And so we try to keep it as organic and fresh as possible out here.
Wonderful. So I'm assuming the people are loving this program because as far as I can see, these plots are reserved and things are growing. So this is a really great program for the community.
Yeah, absolutely. We get a lot of great turnout and a lot of great feedback from the gardeners, and it's been great talking to them and getting to learn from them both on how much they love the gardens and little things that we need to fix every now and again.
Yeah. So for those who may not have never been here or don't have experience with a community garden, I see there are hoses, there's some tools here. What do folks actually get to use and what do they have available to them out here?
So they have they can rent multiple plots of land if they would like. We have our half plots, full plots, and then for returning gardeners, you can have a perennial plot. Perennial plot means that you can work all year round, no matter what, whereas the rest of our garden season is March through November. And if you garden out here, you get access to your plot. We provide access to hoses and water. We bring compost, mulch, manure out here as needed. And we also have a communal toolbox. So typically there is something in there if you don't have all the right tools. But of course it is communal, so it's a little bit of the honor system there.
I think this is just such a fascinating program. And so do you ever have donations coming out of here? Do people donate some of the things that they grow? Or is a lot of this just for private home use?
Yeah, absolutely. We get a bit of both, especially working with like Solidarity Gardens in the Cunningham Township. And so like the food they grow can go to the community. It can go to like a CU Public Health Department, to Sola Gracia. But we also have it's up to the gardener themselves, of course. Sometimes they're taking produce home for themselves, but they're also bringing it to their friends, they're bringing it to their coworkers, they're bringing it to different parts of the community that need it.
Excellent. And so that fee that you pay when you initially are renting your space, that helps cover the water that you're going to use, and things like that, just some of the tools that are available to you out here.
Yeah, absolutely. That helps pay for our composting budget, which of course isn't the cheapest thing in the world, but it is a decently affordable price that we have. You have a flat fee that you pay and then a deposit, and that deposit will roll over. So if you come back next year, then it's a little bit cheaper. And if you decide I'm not gardening this year, then that deposit comes back to you.
In your time that you've been out here managing and working in this garden in this area, what are some of the positive things that you've seen with people coming and going and taking care of their garden?
So you get lots of positives out here. Of course, the main one that we're thinking of is people just having access to fresh produce, fresh, healthy food. But also I like that it helps to build a community with gardeners coming out here on their own time. They never know who you might run into depending on your schedule. And so it's a great opportunity for people to just get out and meet each other.
I also am fascinated too. Ever since the pandemic, we saw a lot of younger people getting into gardening, some buying their first packet of seeds during that time when we were all cooped up inside. Age-wise, do you see a nice cross-section of people out here? Because, you know, sometimes people think of gardening as an older person's hobby, but what do you see in age when you come out here?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a great spread of people from all ages out here, and we've had people that have been gardening here since 1974, 1975 when the gardens first opened, but we also get a lot of newer gardeners who might have just moved to the area or might be a little bit younger. So we get a lot of great age range out here.
Okay, all right. And then in the last couple of minutes here, if someone is watching, is interested, what are the steps to securing a plot here? What do you do? Is it done online? Is it done in person? And do you have to live in Urbana to be able to get a plot?
So you don't have to live in Urbana. You can live in Champaign or any of the surrounding towns. However far you want to drive out here is up to you. But you just get into contact with me at the Nature Center. I will say that our garden plots are full for the season, and so we don't have any availability at the moment. But come January is when we allow new gardeners to sign up, and there's always a big rush there. So as soon as you can get in January, the better.
Awesome. And every plot is sold out for the year. That's
yes,
incredible.
absolutely. All 104.
All 104. Man, that's exciting to hear. And so in January, the whole thing starts all over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So we open it up a little bit early for returning gardeners. If they would like to reclaim their plot, they can do so in December. And then we give it about a month and then open it up to new gardeners. But it's just really great if you say you live in an apartment or you are a super gardener, but you've run out of room in your yard for your garden and you want even more produce. It's a great spot to get out here, or just looking for something to do outside. That's nice hands-on experiment there.
Very nice. And we have a lot of folks who do balcony gardening, container gardening. So this is a wonderful extension of that. If you are living in an apartment or a duplex or something, and you've outgrown your barrel of tomatoes and you really want to put some in the ground. Anything else that I didn't ask that you want folks to know about the community garden here that you feel is important, or something I didn't touch on?
I guess I meant to mention earlier that just with the price of the garden plots, if it is a little steep, the Cunningham Township does offer free plots for those who need it. And those who are interested can talk to Cunningham Township and sign up. But I do really like how much we try to keep things as affordable as possible. I've talked to my supervisor and she's like, yeah, the garden program in my city is like multiple hundreds of dollars to sign up here. And the most you're going to run here is 105, but typically about 65. So
okay. And then like you said, there are some options out there if that does feel a little steep or unattainable to folks.
Absolutely. And you can talk to me about a payment plan if needed. So.
Okay. And then what about, this is just on the off chance, but are people experiencing any type of theft or vandalism? You know, you mentioned the honor system earlier. Does that really how this community, is that how it works out here?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a low scale issue every now and again. Some produce goes missing from a garden. Sometimes that is just from the wildlife. The deer and the groundhogs get out here, but sometimes we do have people stopping by and taking food from other gardeners' plots or tools. It is a pretty low scale issue, luckily, and we try to do a couple things to prevent that. So of course, like we have our fencing with doors set up around every garden, but we also encourage gardeners to know other gardeners, and so that way if you see somebody in a plot that you're not familiar with, you can just come up and casually start talking to them, be like, hey, how's it going? Just making sure that they're the right person in the right area.
Yes,
so.
Wonderful, Connor. Well, thank you so much, and we're going to go mosey around and meet some folks.
All right, sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yes. So Ben, you're a gardener out here. How long have you had a plot in the gardens here?
So this is my second year out here. One of my best friends has rented out here for many years, and he convinced me to garden out here and talked about how great of a resource it is for the community. And we garden right next to each other, and we hang out here quite a bit, and it's a good bonding experience for
That
us.
puts the
for us here.
community in community garden, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how did you get started out here? Is space a premium for you? Do you live in an apartment? How did you find out that this was going to work out for you?
So I live in a house in Urbana, but only get full shade. So I'm kind of, only grow like woodland perennial type plants there. And I needed a space with full sun. So it's great for me to, grow the tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, other things that require more sunlight. So.
I was just about to ask, what's on the menu this summer? What have you got growing?
Well, it's mainly tomatoes and peppers, but we also have, a couple of sunflowers, some herbs as well, like oregano, parsley, rosemary.
Nice. Very nice.
Mostly the basics.
Now, do you think this is going to be something that you do every year? Do you see yourself coming out here and renting a plot?
Absolutely. I think it's just a matter of time before I expand from my smaller plot size to, getting a couple more plots out here.
That's how it starts too. When you start gardening and you get bit by the bug, you start small, you got those containers, and then before you know it, you're renting 3 plots at the community garden. What have you learned from last year to this year? What have you changed, tweaked? What strategies? Like, what didn't work last year that maybe you're trying something new for this year in your plot?
So the first year I didn't, understand how much of a resource the compost and manure was out here. So I'm taking advantage of that more. But also, trying to really keep up with the weed pressure out here.
Yes.
And, being at Meadowbrook, there's more wildlife out here that could, come after your plants. So making sure that the fence is, sturdy and able to keep predators out is a must.
Now, was there anything about, because everything is out here is organic or as close to organic as you can get, was that a draw for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I really, appreciate that there's not going to be any, conventional pesticides sprayed out here, or no neighboring fields where I could get that pesticide drift to my plants.
Awesome. And how often do you come out to check on things or to weed, or is this a daily stop for you?
This is a near daily stop, and we actually, took a hike while we were out here as well. So we kind of, bake in being able to explore Meadowbrook, but then also stop at the garden plot. So that's one of the other huge draws for me.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for showing us your garden, and best of luck. I hope everything blooms for you and turns out lovely.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, so now we've met Celia here. Now tell us a little bit about this garden area. Where are we right now? What bed is this?
We're in the Meadowbrook Learning Gardens. This is one of my plots that I'm taking care of this summer with Bug to School at the U of I.
Nice.
So I'm an intern, and we're doing research on, the effects of purslane as a living mulch, and also surveying insects while we're at it.
Wow. So this isn't just a community garden, it's almost like a live lab as well, right? It's kind of part of it. So.
Totally. Yeah, we had a group out here for the past few years researching purslane as a living mulch, but then also I'm sure there's more experimenting done elsewhere.
All throughout. Okay.
Yeah.
So in this bed, what do we have growing in here? What's in here?
So this is okra, just like a common variety of okra that we'll eat. And then weeds. Weeds that I'm about to take out.
The struggle of every gardener, right? So how often do you show up out here to pull weeds and kind of just maintain the beds?
I would say about 2 to 4 times a week, depending on how much water it needs. The weeds aren't rambunctious here, so
Gotcha.
I haven't had to do too much, but I'm gonna check on it every once in a while. Irrigation has its own pros and cons, so watering the purslane has been kind of a different issue. But yeah.
Okay, so today you're just pulling weeds, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just jump in and grab some then.
All right.
So you do not want purslane in this bed. This is the control bed, right?
This is the control bed. We have purslane growing in the other bed.
Do you ever run into other gardeners and other folks while you're out here?
For sure. For sure. I actually met, so Emily and Anthony are the two people that run the garden mostly, or the learning gardens. And caught Emily by chance one day last week. So it was good to meet her. I'm meeting Anthony this coming week. And I don't know. I mean, I've seen a bunch of people watering. I'll say, good morning.
Yes.
You know,
That's
have a
kind
good
of cool.
one.
That's a cool
Yeah.
aspect of the community garden. The
It's
gentleman
awesome.
we talked to just a bit ago, his best friend has a plot right next to him. And so he said that they meet up and come out here and pull weeds together.
That's so fun.
Always kind of cool.
Yeah.
So tell me more about these beds. This is the control bed. This is where the purslane is growing on purpose. And what are you trying to do here? What is the purpose of the experiment?
So we're kind of testing the abundance of the weeds in a bed without a living mulch and a bed with a living mulch. The idea is that the purslane will block the other weeds from growing, essentially. But so I'm also doing a separate project on my own, and I'm testing the pollination effects of having intercropped purslane in with the okra. But yeah, this is the only bed I'll be consistently weeding throughout the summer. We're actually starting to take data next week, and I'll stop weeding that one, see what happens.
And just let it go.
Yep.
Now, throughout the summer, will you still come out and visit these and just kind of maybe take notes and see how things are going?
Yeah, so I'll come out and make sure they're all, you know, watered. This one's weeded. We'll be taking data every week on Tuesday mornings. And yeah, I'll come check in, you know, make sure my okra's not suffering the heat.
Sure. What's it like for you to be able to do this in a community garden setting like this rather than a lab or a classroom? Like, what does the community garden bring to it for you?
I think perspective is a huge thing. They're, you know, Anthony, Emily are people with much experience outside of just, you know, the education side. And they bring like kind of a real world perspective more than like, you know, reading papers or, you know, discussing in a classroom. I think it's a different experience to be hands-on, and, you know, there are some tips and tricks that you don't learn in the classroom.
Wonderful. Okay. All right, I'll just leave you be for a while and let you pull some weeds and do what you were going to do.
Well, thank you.
This is the bed that you want the purslane growing in. And talk a little bit about this, because last year it didn't go quite as well, and so you had to make some adjustments for this year's experiment. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so last year, you know, they conducted a similar experiment with the same goal in mind. However, you know, as one would think, you could order seed for purslane. And they did, and it was ornamental purslane, which just means it grows vertically for consumption. So this year we more so looked at foraging purslane around town. You know, it grows in sidewalk cracks everywhere you don't want it. So we foraged it. You know, it does still have some vertical capacity at first, so we'll give it a haircut once it gets to 6 inches, and then it should just keep growing low.
Gotcha. Okay. So like this is a good example of what you were saying.
Yep.
This one's growing vertically.
Yep.
And then how far down would you cut it? Maybe like just the top there, and then you can see how it
we'll cut it to
its growing behavior.
Yeah, we'll cut it to about 2 or 3 inches once it gets past 6.
Gotcha.
So.
And you know, purslane is something that we all struggle with. So I'm actually, I wouldn't say struggle, but I'm actually looking forward to see how this turns out, because maybe we all just leave it and then munch on it at the end of the summer.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it does spread very quickly as well. So we're expecting it to just shoot out in the next few weeks.
And then this experiment will go all throughout the summer. And when will we find out how it went?
So we're working with CAS at the U of I, which is Community Academic Scholars. We're working with IHSI, which is Interdisciplinary Health Science Institute. And so we have like a huge presentation at the end of the summer, August 5th, where we'll be presenting, you know, whether our experiment went how we wanted or not. And we will be writing a paper as a group.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking off camera. You were saying when you have purslane in a bed like this, it doesn't steal much of the water from the actual crop. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's one of the perks of using purslane as an intercrop is it doesn't compete with your, you know, wanted crops like your okra or zucchini or whatever it may be. It doesn't compete for resources at all, or very little. So it's safe to have in your bed. Succulent like we were talking about earlier. and we love it.
And it's not
And-
harmful. It doesn't.
Yeah.
What about insects? Do insects like to munch on purslane?
Yeah, so that's one of our data collection theory hypotheses this summer
Mhm.
is, you know, studying the effects of what predators purslane may bring into our garden and what prey it might take away from the okra that
I was
maybe we
just
need.
about to say, if they're munching on that, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, our herbivores, or you know, so whether that'll be harmful or helpful for our garden.
Well,
will
we're
be-
going to have to find you later on in the season or towards the end of the
That'd be
summer to
awesome.
find out how things went, because
That'd be
that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for showing us around and showing us how you maintain your beds, and good luck with the rest of your experiment.
Thank you.
And that is the show for this week. Thank you so much for watching. A big thanks to Connor, Ben, and Celia for talking to us today at the Gardens. If you've got questions, you can send them in to us at yourgarden@gmail.com. You can also find us on socials. Just look for MidAmerican Gardener. And if you know of a garden that we just have to come and see, send it in to us. You never know, we might just show up. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you next time. Good night.